Dobro jutro, bonjour, sabah el khir, good morning, ministers, excellencies, creatives, entrepreneurs, ladies and gentlemen. At the launch of any conference, it's a special thrill to see the room packed with participants, all eager to share the best of their experience and ideas to fight for the common cause. Since the forum's first edition last year, the number of participants has more than doubled. Accordingly, our excitement has doubled too. It shows the strong regional consensus on the importance of creativity for development, and it shows the growing need and desire to empower the creative sector through joint action. While we were preparing this edition of the Creative Forum Ljubljana, we were following one major goal: to create a forum that would be useful to the creative sector and useful to the region. For it to be useful, we created it 100% together with the creative sector, from the very first letter of the program, hand in hand. Before giving the floor to the long line of speakers, whom we thank sincerely for coming, I would just like to share with you one very personal experience after all these months of preparation. Governments and creatives are certainly not a match made in heaven. While we were preparing the forum, our synergies didn't fall from the sky, but required a lot of work and dialogue. But day by day, we better understood the enormous value added of our cooperation. With this thought, I now welcome our host, His Excellency Miro Cerar, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Foreign Affairs, whom we sincerely thank for his huge support to culture and creativity, not only in the Slovenian foreign policy, but in the region and the world at large. Minister, the floor is yours.
Ministers, Excellencies, dear Secretary General of the Mediterranean Union, Kamel, ladies and gentlemen, spoštovani gostje, kolegi, prijatelji, dame in gospodje, welcome to Slovenia, welcome to Ljubljana, to this special place. And let me first say a few words in Slovenian language and then I will switch to English. Slovenija je ponosna na to, da je med vodilnimi državami članicami Evropske unije, ki vztrajajo na pomembni vlogi kulture v zunanjih odnosih. Zato ne preseneča, da je kulturna diplomacija med stebri naših mednarodnih aktivnosti. Že med prvim predsedovanjem Svetu Evropske unije leta 2008 je bila pomemben del naše agende. In odločeni smo jo tam ohraniti tudi v letu 2021, ko bomo znova za krmilom Sveta Evropske unije. Much will have changed, though, between 2008 and 2021. In 2008, when the EU celebrated the Year of Intercultural Dialogue, a large part of Europe had just removed their internal borders. European ideals of a unified cultural space seemed to finally turn into reality. Today, in many parts of Europe, on the contrary, borders are yet again being drawn, both physical and ideological ones. Walls are being rebuilt both within our cultures and toward others. In this context, the cultural and creative sector is taking on a more strategic role than ever. Undoubtedly, it is an important stimulant of economic growth and job creation. But even more importantly, it is the key generator of social revitalization and stability. It is a source of tolerance, inclusiveness, inspiration, adaptability, and resilience. All those elements that are intrinsically linked to the equality of life and significant benefits for the most vulnerable social groups. Consider the motto of this year's Biennale of Industrial Design, opening tonight in Ljubljana: common knowledge. Is culture not the most tangible, the most experienced common knowledge we can imagine? From the books we have all read, through the musical tunes we all whistle, to the movies we like to quote or even enact. Culture is our common knowledge, our motivator and our integrator. The Creative Forum Ljubljana was born out of the same desire for integration. The Western Balkans and Southern Mediterranean are two regions particularly dear to our foreign policy. We wanted to propose a platform that would help strengthen the connections between their people in a forward-looking way. Creativity seems the most obvious choice. And we are delighted that our vision coincided with that of the Secretariat of the Union for the Mediterranean, and that in April last year we launched this process together. Thank you, Secretary General. The first Creative Forum confirmed that creativity and was the key to intensifying regional development. It called for dialogue between creative workers and policymakers, as well as for a more structured support mechanisms at the regional level. We are delighted to welcome all 20 countries here today. Creative individuals, entrepreneurs, and policymakers, accompanied by all relevant international organizations that are best placed to guide us through what works and what doesn't work. So I see particular significance in the fact that we were able to bring together decision makers from the fields of economy, foreign affairs, and culture. This is what we call Creative Capital United. Not only cities, regions, and countries working hand in hand, but also sectors finding common ground for breakthroughs in industry, education, foreign affairs, tourism, information technology, and more. Those of you who had the chance to visit this year's Venice Biennale surely remember its title, the one that unites ancient Chinese wisdom with a quote from Robert Kennedy. Like it or not, we live in interesting times. They are times of danger and uncertainty, but they are also more open to the creative energy of man than any other time in history. Indeed, our common Mediterranean region continues to face many challenges, from open conflicts to migration. Syria is facing yet another intensification of violence. In Libya, the political process has been stopped once again by this year's new military offensive. And on the two-state solution, deepening frustrations are seriously eroding support in both Israel and Palestine for a political and peaceful path toward resolving the conflict. The Western Balkans has a special geostrategic importance in this context. It is at the crossroads of many promises and threats in the Euro-Mediterranean space. It is of utmost importance to recognize its special role, support its development, and assure its resilience. Slovenia is a strong supporter of the EU expansion process and of both the European and Euro-Mediterranean perspective of the Western Balkan countries. At the last European Council, unfortunately, we were not able to reach an agreement regarding the opening of negotiations with Northern Macedonia and Albania, and I'm very sorry for that. After the formation of the new European Commission, setting clear goals regarding the region will be our priority. Promises should be kept if we are to be serious about the merit-based process. Methodology can serve as a tool on this road, but should not defer the final goal. I see an important challenge and role for the Union for Mediterranean in this process, namely to investigate how to further deepen the integration between the Western Balkans and the South. Let me say a few words in Slovenian again. Dragi prijatelji, gospe in gospodje, naj nastale mornarska navigacija okoli nas spominja na enkraten potencial, ki ga ima kreativnost za to, da nas vodi skozi nemirne vode euro-mediteranske regije. Naj bodo te pomenljive zastavice zgovorna znamenja kulture ne kot stroška ali priboljška, ampak kot stebra regionalnega razvoja. In conclusion, I would like to thank to my colleagues that organized this forum, to the Union for the Mediterranean for its very precious partnership, to all the forum's partners for their great cooperation and creative inspiration, and especially to all of you who came to Ljubljana to unite forces and jointly challenge the sea of change. So really thank you for being with us. Welcome to Ljubljana, and I hope you will have some time to explore it. It's beautiful. Thank you. And please accept my apologies for not being with you at the panel. I have planned to be here, but unfortunately we have an urgent government session and I have to be present there. So I'm sure that the panel will be very successful, even without me, of course. Thank you.
In yesterday's workshops with the creative hubs and entrepreneurs, there was one word that was coming up time and again: the importance of cross-sectorial cooperation. Culture, economy, foreign policy, education, social affairs. In this spirit, we are very glad to welcome among us our Minister of Culture, Mr. Zoran Poznic.
Thank you. I will speak in Slovene, like a Minister of Culture should do in his hometown. Torej, lepo pozdravljeni, gospod minister, visoki zbor, vsi gostje, vsi kreativci. Takole nekako, kreativni proces je v resnici sploh temeljni postulat tistega, čemu rečemo homo sapiens. Če tega ne bi bilo, ne bi bili samo trije primati, ampak bi bili štirje tam na oni strani. Tako da v 21. stoletju končno prihaja čas, ko kreativni potencial človeštva s pomočjo novih tehnologij končno vstopa v snovanje celotne družbe. Ni več samo spremljevalec, ampak je v resnici kreator. Tisto, čemu je ta naš kreativni potencial v resnici tudi namenjen. Tisto, čemu mi pravimo humanizacija tehnologije, bo v resnici omogočalo znosno, koristno in človeško, humano družbo 21. stoletja. Vsi odnosi med nami, med različnimi skupinami, med različnimi političnimi opcijami, med rasami in tako naprej, v resnici na svoje pravo mesto, na mesto sodelovanja, kooperativnosti, razumevanja in upoštevanja, seveda prihajajo šele v 21. stoletju. Na vseh nas pa je, da ves ta kreativni potencial, ki ga premoremo, v resnici sedaj tvorno implementiramo v vse družbene podstate, nadstate, ne vem, kako se temu še reče. Tako da še enkrat, umetnost, kultura, kreativnost, vse povsod, v vse človeške dejavnosti, s pomočjo novih tehnologij doseči humanizacijo tehnologije kot takšne, vzpostaviti sustainable, se pravi znosno, mogočo družbo prihodnosti. Tako da vam želim vsem skupaj uspešno delo. Prav tako kot minister Cerar, mora tudi minister Poznič takoj naprej. Tako da vam res želim uspešno delo in se vidimo. Hvala.
As our minister already mentioned, The Creative Forum Ljubljana wouldn't exist if it wasn't for our very strong, very good and fruitful cooperation with the Union for the Mediterranean. Many thanks, Secretary General, and please, the floor is yours. We have the pleasure to welcome Mr. Nasser Kamel, the Secretary General of the Union for the Mediterranean.
Minister Miros Rar, dear ministers present today, especially the Minister of Culture of Slovenia, I'm extremely happy and delighted to be here with you today and to welcome all of you, since we are partnering with the Slovenian government in organizing this very unique, actually, platform. I think this is the largest creative forum organized in the Euro-Mediterranean region so far. But it's not the last one, for sure. And the idea to co-organize this very important event with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Slovenia, of course, with the help of our partners in GIZ, was not really by mere chance. Slovenia has become a model when it comes to creative industry. What you have achieved in the last few years in terms of creative industries is a model that should be looked at, scaled up, and transferred to the rest in the Euro-Mediterranean region. So I look at Ljubljana as not only the hub for Slovenia, but the hub for the whole Euromed region when it comes to creative industry and creative economy and creative activity. And I look at it also as a connecting dot between the Balkans, Europe on one hand, and the southern Mediterranean region on the other hand. So the choice of Ljubljana and the choice of Slovenia is a natural choice that came and that was so evident for us at the UFM, but also throughout the region. We started last year, but I think this year is definitely a huge leap towards making this a regular event and a regular rendezvous, as we say in French, between creators and also policymakers from throughout our region. Creative Capital United. Why? Because we share the view that creativity is one of the most important assets in our region, in the world, but especially in our region. It is a building block in terms of defining our regional identity, but also it is a catalyst for job creation, for sustainable economic growth. And I stress on the word sustainable, because creativity by definition is not polluting in any way or form or shape. It is mostly in phase with the SDGs and our goal of sustainable development. It helps also in terms of social cohesion and in unlocking innovative solutions to so many of the problems in our region. The figures support what I'm saying. The creative economy contributes 5% of the GDP, or gross domestic product, of many countries in our region, but it accounts for 10% of the employment landscape. I don't need to give a much more important example than this one. I remember a few years back when I was my country's ambassador to the UK, I was speaking with the head of the Royal Institute for Strategic Studies, and he was telling me the one factor that makes the United Kingdom occupy a place in the world that is what it is at the time. He said, Ambassador, we produce only 2.5% to 3% of the world GDP, but we have 6% of the world intellectual property patent. And that's exactly what defines our place. It's not the 3%, it's the 6% in terms of creativity. We choose to use those figures and to see them not for what they are, but for what they promise in terms of the huge potential for both human and sustainable development, as I just mentioned. Creativity is at the heart of what we call today the fourth industrial revolution, economy 4.0. It has become the usual suspect, omnipresent in any discussion about the future of work, digital transformation, skills for the future, and the list is very long. And at the Union for the Mediterranean, we are no stranger to neither the talk, as we say, nor the walk. We're talking the talk now, and I hope we'll be walking the walk in the very near future. We have dedicated a considerable portion of our activities towards promoting creative economy and innovation. I have so many activities that we do, starting with our very important conference on digital transformation that we held in Estonia, all the way to 2 weeks holding our workshop on the future of work and skills in Turin, in Italy. But moreover, we also helped create and structure and mobilize resources for so many projects. One of them is the UFM label project within our flagship initiative, Met for Job, a project that aims to establish platform for culture and creative industry and clusters in the southern Mediterranean region. I will end my introductory remark. I don't know if Azza Fahmy is here yet or not. ازيك. Well, you are an example, Azza Fahmy, and allow me to say Azza Fahmy, but Lady Azza Fahmy, of what creative industry represent, taking a very old art form, which is pharaonic and Islamic, and turning it into a world, a household name known all over the world, and taking this Egyptian art form to the global market, scaling it up, and creating hundreds, if not thousands, of jobs supporting your creation in this field. You are exactly the perfect example, and I look forward to hear your keynote speech. Well, thank you very much for being with us today. I promise you this is not our last, or not even one isolated event where the UFM will be investing in creative economy. We will be partnering with Slovenia especially, but partnering with all our member states. We'll take what we learned from you today, young creators. I heard the beautiful experience that you had yesterday in terms of architecture and in terms of the genius and the creative hub you have visited. And I cannot but admire this beautiful space, which I understand is going to disappear in a few weeks, but I'm sure others will pop up in this beautiful land of Slovenia. Thank you very much.
In this region with so much creative potential, it's kind of tricky to choose one keynote speaker. but the choice was kind of obvious. Aza Fahmy is the pioneer of jewelry design in the Arab world. When mentioning contemporary jewelry in the Arab region, Aza Fahmy immediately comes to mind. She's one of the Arab designers who left an imprint on contemporary heritage and succeeded in making her way to the international community. She began her career 50 years ago, during which she worked hard on researching in developing traditional jewelry. She's not only a designer, but also a researcher, a jewelry collector, an entrepreneur, and author. She wrote an important book about the traditional Egyptian jewelry. In 2013, she established the design studio by Aza Fahmy, which yielded great results in pushing many young designers to market. She also received an honorary doctorate from the American University in Cairo. Please welcome Aza Fahmy, who will tell us her story of breaking boundaries.
Thank you for inviting me to this. I don't know what to say. Really very interesting for me. Thank you, Dr. Nasser. It was late 1960. I was a female graduate from School of Fine Art, working in the government. I was a perfectionist, did not like what I was doing 100%. I was looking for my passion. Tried hard many things that did not work. I was always using my intuition to judge, and my heart always answered. It was the first international book fair. There was nothing much in the market as reference for us. Visited the German pavilion and found a book about medieval jewelry. My heart was beating in front of it. I know immediately that was what I wanted to do. My salary in that time was 19.6 pound, and the book was 17 pound. I did not hesitate 1 minute to buy it with almost all my salary. I knew this book was gate to change my life, and it did. We all have destiny in life. If you work really hard and you follow your heart, the destiny can be work. Here I started the problem. I wanted to learn how to make jewelry myself with my hands. I was thinking to do another 4 years of factory of applied art in Cairo. But I calculated in my mind and simply told myself, if I wanted to be a carpenter, I had to go and work with a carpenter. I wanted to make jewelry, so I had to go to work with a craftsman. I decided to go to Khan Khalili, the area for craftspeople. I joined Hag Sayed workshop for almost 2 years. I was working in the government till 2, then I went to Khan Khalili till 9. Coming from a conservative family background was not easy. This area was a male-dominant area. No women were working among them, especially university graduates. But this did not stop me. I had a goal and was sure I would achieve it. My first capital was 3 pound, Egyptian pounds, bought 100 grams of silver, and I made 5 rings in 1 week. A friend of mine owned one of the first elegant boutique in Cairo. She told me them, and she gave me 45 pounds. At that time, it was a fortune. I took the money and I bought more raw material, and I was over the moon. I rented a small room beside my mother's house. I kept working and producing jewelry. I visited Hag Sayed whenever I have technical problem, till I reached a point that Hag Sayed wasn't enough to solve my problem. My design became more advanced than my ability. My mind was more advanced than my hands. I started to be known among a small group. The British Council manager was my client, and he was believed in what I'm doing. During our chat, I explained my technical problems to him. After 3 months, he surprised me with a grant to study jewelry on one of the top polytechnics in London. I finished in that small 1 year what people finish in 3 years. I was like a sponge. I wanted to learn everything. I remember London in winter. I entered the college in the dark and left it in the dark. London for me is knowledge, education. I felt strong, confident. I felt I can break all the boundaries. I returned back to Cairo and started building Azza Fahmy brand. Learning and knowledge is a power. Money isn't what you should run after. It's always your passion. It's important to remember to follow your heart. This is what led me to where I am today. 50 years ago, I made my first piece of jewelry. Today, I stand in front of you as Azza Fahmy, a leading global Egyptian brand with more than 15 numbers of outlets in 5 countries and more than 250 employees. I have established the Azza Fahmy Family Foundation and the Design School and focus on education and training. Many people ask me, what's the secret to my success? And this is remind me of an old Chinese proverb, say that a journey of 1,000 miles began with a single step. Azza Fahmy Family brand, as it exists today, is a story of 100 small steps and recognition that was built years upon year to where we are. 50 years later from when I started that first workshop, and with every step I took, I had something to learn from every success and every failure I experienced. So, what's my secret? There are 6 keys inside that I want to share with you. The amount of love and passion that I and everybody had toward the products we made cannot be described in words. Japanese masters say, from heart to hand. You can feel the love in everything, every Azza Fahmy piece. Dedication and determination, hard work is the backbone of any company. I never stop working. Always stay on the constant learning path. Education is everything. You can never stop learning. We can always do better and be better. Never think that you are the best. Stay humble. Always stay flexible and willing to change and evolve. I was always listen to the younger people I work with. I learn from them while transferring my knowledge and experience to them. Stay connecting to our inspiration. My inspiration differently and uniquely cultured around the world. I also have to stay connected to my root, Egypt. Let me tell you a small story. During my CNN interview, the lady asked me, what does the Nile mean to you? I answered, I'm like a fish. If you take me out of this water, I will die. Now it's 2019. I'm not just a jewelry designer. Gained knowledge over the years. My 2 daughters are growing the company. I'm an entrepreneur. An entrepreneur journey never ends. I still have more and explore, especially that I am fascinated with different global culture and heritage. I would like to take this opportunity to share the journey behind my latest collection, inspired the Mamluk era.
التراث والثقافة هما الإلهام. العصر المملوكي هو قمة عصر النهضة في الفن الإسلامي. التفاصيل اللي اتعملت في العمارة المملوكية هي شيء مذهل، إبداع بكل المعاني. البحث اللي حصل في البداية، الزيارات اللي تمت للأماكن المهمة والموجودة فيها قمة المساجد والبيوت والعمائر المملوكية. زيارتي للمتاحف المهمة وخصوصاً متحف فيكتوريا ألبرت في لندن اللي عندهم أرشيف رائع للعصر المملوكي. إنك تدخل في تجربة تحويل عناصر مباني حجر منحوت، رخام مشغول، تكوينات معمارية والعناصر مختلفة، وتفكر تحولها إلى حلي تلبسها الناس وتبقى مرتاحة. خد وقت فنياً وتقنياً من فريق مدرب. على فكرة احنا مش بس الفرعوني، احنا كمان القبطي والإسلامي والروماني، وأنا بفتخر بالثقافات العريقة دي وعايزة أوري ده للعالم من خلال حلي عزف أحمد.
One of the forum's most important goals was to create communities that would continue working way beyond the forum. This year, we put a special focus on creative hubs, creative entrepreneurs, and on the Creative Europe program. Yesterday, we met in workshops and a study trip that was really very inspiring for all of us. Now we will welcome to the floor the representatives of the groups to give us a little bit of their impressions and the recommendations for, well, different profiles that are here with us today. We will start with Dina Katan from Jordan that will recap the creative entrepreneur trip from yesterday. Dina?
Thank you, Petra. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, partners, designers, friends, good morning. My name is Dina Qattan. I'm from Jordan, and I'm here representing UNIDO, and I'm currently working as a national project coordinator for the Creative Industries projects in Jordan. First of all, I would like to say that I am honored and very grateful to be a part of Ljubljana Creative Forum for the second time around, and I must say it has been such an inspiring experience in showing people from different countries and backgrounds that creativity can be accessible to everyone. Before I begin with the feedback of yesterday's study tour of the creative entrepreneurs, I would like to share a little bit of what we have done at UNIDO within the creative industries. 2 months ago, we have proudly launched an initiative called Irth, which means heritage in Arabic. It is a contemporary handicrafts collection and a collective effort done by 5 women-based associations in the north of Jordan. The collection is a variety of authentic and creative products and handicrafts, which we have been working on throughout the past 2 years, together with women from the north of Jordan with the financial support of the Austrian government. The idea of the project stems from the importance of rural development and strengthening the resilience of people, especially in crisis situations. It is also driven by the exceptional global preference of end customers for what is perceived as authentic and genuine as a reaction to the rapid changes brought about by globalization. Nowadays, customers are willing to pay a premium for products that are true to their roots and tell a story. With the women in the North, we have attempted to turn challenges into entrepreneurial opportunities. We have developed their skills and provided on-the-job training using modern tools. We have worked together on enhancing the quality and design of their products and have developed the packaging as a main tool for product protection and marketing. In addition, we have also worked on developing the branding that is a vital marketing tool, as it has a critical impact on distinguishing the product in terms of quality and experience, and on creating trust needed at the customer's end. As a last step in our journey with these cooperatives, we have supported them in displaying their products in Amman Design Week. which is a major platform that supports the local and regional talents. This initiative has given them the opportunity to promote and sell their products, and most importantly, to create linkages with potential clients. And the 4 brands created under IRTH were nearly sold out in the 9 days of Amman Design Week. As we say, no society can flourish without culture, and creative industries can be one vehicle to promote both cultural and economic development. We hope that our efforts can build on the strength and strengthened by others who seek to enhance the resilience of host communities in Jordan, to enhance rural development and entrepreneurship. Which brings us back to what we have seen in yesterday's very interesting study tour. The feedback that I got from most of the countries that provided me with the conclusions and the recommendations is on 3 levels. So the first level would be on an infrastructure supporting creative industry. The first point would be the importance of the hubs to provide spaces to experiment and develop with tools such as 3D printers, CNC machines, etc., crucial for creative people to discover their way of designing, producing, thinking. Hubs to provide spaces to experiment, to network, and to learn. Access to facilities and credit made easier for creative entrepreneurs. On the level of capacity building, there's a huge need for training creative professionals and the students about business to create a sustainable, agile economy. If the system continues only providing support, not educating them about how they can run their business, how they can collaborate with their industries, then the economy will not create their own revenue and will not continue being dependent on support. Mentorship programs for creative entrepreneurs. At the level of policymaking, conduct mapping exercises throughout the region to understand better the clusters of creative components and realities in order to better target policies that aim at their development, such as better education with the introduction of design thinking methodologies and entrepreneurship. And finally, reduction of VAT and other types of incentives for creative entrepreneurs. Clear plans from governments to address the creative industries sector. Thank you.
Well, Dina made kind of introduction to the next speaker already, stressing the importance of creative hubs. And while we were walking around rainy Ljubljana yesterday, the creative hubs met here, a group of 20 hubs, pretty much one from each country, to discuss their challenges, what works, what doesn't, and the way forward. So we have the pleasure to welcome Relja Bobic, who will present the conclusions of yesterday's workshops. Thank you, Relja.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here today and, of course, to be back at Polygon. My name is Relja Bobic. I'm coming from Belgrade, Serbia, where I'm the co-founder of the creative hub called Nova Iskra, where I'm also working on international cooperation projects and program development. And I'm also involved as a project coordinator with the European Creative Hubs Network that you will hear more about later during the day from my colleague Vasilis. So first of all, it was really amazing. I was, over the last couple of years, part of many networking events, conferences dedicated to hubs, and of course organized by our network, which is the first network dedicated solely to creative hubs on the European level. And hopefully after this meeting it will also expand its geographical scope. So it was really amazing to finally also meet our peers, our colleagues coming from a bit different cultural backgrounds, but also, of course, to learn that some of the challenges that we are all sharing are still common. So we had 3 workshop sessions yesterday. There was around 20 of us, and we focused on, first of all, on the position of the creative workers as individuals and the challenges they are facing, then on the programs developed by Creative Hubs, and finally we talked about access to funding and financing. And I must say my impression was that in more or less in all of the 3 sessions the conversation would always kind of go back to issues of sustainability and business models and how all of these organizations are able or should be able to survive and to become sustainable and to serve their communities. So together with Eva Matias from Polygon, we were considering the challenges for the creative workers. Of course, mostly the precarious position in which they usually are, and this includes most of our communities, our members, the people who are users of our hubs, but also, I would say, ourselves or all of the hub managers and the people who are in the management teams of all of these creative hubs. And on the other hand, the programs we are all developing are indeed serving these communities, and we were able to hear about different approaches, and I must say I was really positively surprised to hear about the, let's say, the level of development of some of the hubs coming from the Mediterranean area or the North African region. And we definitely recognized huge common ground, and that we can feed off each other in a great deal in terms of exchange of experience and exchange of know-how. Of course, with different specific challenges that we are all facing. One of the main conclusions, I think, was that definitely we need to continue meeting and talking, that this occasion of all of us meeting here should be just a starting point, and that we actually need to really spend time together in a physical space, not in a virtual space, to be able to develop sustainable collaborations and sustainable projects for the future. So one of the proposals we would like to point out is that it would be very good for us to create a sort of a framework that would be aimed at development of projects even before we are applying for any sort of funding, because developing this project through this kind of projects and applications through online communication is something that is possible, but it would definitely take much more time, and so kind of we would like to see a framework in which we could meet maybe on a regular basis, and that hopefully this will turn out to be just the first of many of our meetings. Something else that we discussed was the opportunity for the hubs coming from the Mediterranean region to actually align with the European Creative Hubs network, because this is something I think that they also recognized as a value and as a really strong potential. So we will be looking into the possibility in the next weeks and months to actually have a sort of a special chapter within the European Creative Hubs network, where all of the hubs who were present here yesterday, and of course many other of their peers, could also join us, take part in different peer-to-peer activities. We are realizing our annual General Assembly and many other activities that are happening through the projects that the network is doing. what we also recognize is that certain capacity building programs are definitely needed, whether it would be through the European Creative Hubs Network or through the next iterations of Creative Forum, but we definitely need to exchange on a peer-to-peer level and to kind of really talk about specific topics that are relevant to our everyday work. So we definitely recognize that whenever we are talking about very tangible issues, about managing a creative hub or managing your community or working on accessing funding, this is when most of us around the table, were most engaged, because these are the relevant issues. And finally, in terms of access to funding, we were talking about the specific, let's say, hybrid form that creative hubs are having. And it was also great to see the big diversity of creative hubs in the room yesterday, because each creative hub kind of has its own way and serves a specific community in a specific way. So it is really amazing to see all this diversity in one place. But we're also kind of recognizing that from the standpoint of funding programs and from the, let's say, policy position, it's sometimes hard to fit the existing let's say, frameworks of what kind of organizations are recognized. So many of these hubs, they are working with several legal entities of different form and so on. So we are recognizing a need that also maybe on the side of the policymakers and funders, there should be an increased awareness and knowledge about all of the specific things that relate to the operations of creative hubs. So I think that would be kind of the main points we would like to pass on. We are also keeping some minor news for the good news session later in the day. And I invite you to definitely follow the presentation of European Creative Hubs Network, where if you are not completely familiar with the concept of creative hubs, you will have a chance to hear about it. So thank you very much.
What Relia mentioned is that the value added of all the groups yesterday was really that the creatives met in a kind of atypical composition. All Western Balkan countries and all countries from the MENA region. So it was kind of the first time that some of them really met in this kind of constellation. And it was also the point of the Creative Europe workshop, where the Creative Europe desks from Tunisia, Kosovo, and Slovenia met to discuss how to open up for a kind of atypical cultural cooperations. Because we know that somehow the cultural operators always work with kind of traditional partners, and we would really like to open up our cultural spaces. So at this point, I have the pleasure to welcome Hazar from Tunisia to share her impressions with us. Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you. First of all, I would like to thank the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Slovenia and the Union for the Mediterranean, for the organization of this great event and for inviting the Creative Europe Desk Tunisia, a country that joined the Creative Europe program June 2017. I would like also to thank the Motovilla host of the Creative Europe Desk Slovenia and the Motovilla girls for their help and support these 2 days. Yesterday we have had a workshop, a Creative Europe workshop, where 3 desks, Creative Europe desks were present, Tunisia, Slovenia, and Kosovo, and also a selection of actors, creative actors from Slovenia. During this workshop, we had the chance to present the Tunisian creative sector, and also to learn or to be introduced to the creative actors and sector in both Slovenia and Kosovo. We had a fruitful debate after these presentations, and I think we came out with 3 conclusions. First, there is many similarities between these 3 countries and the creative sectors in these 3 countries, and to quote one of the participants, it is very important to have more solidarity between these 3 creative sectors and to bring the big to the small around cooperation projects. Second, it's very important to give more visibility of this very creative actors in each country, so other actors will be aware of their presence and will potentially come together and encourage cooperation between similar or complementary entities in all these countries. Third, we stressed the importance of having platforms for creative actors to meet in person. And I would like to thank you for the organization of these creative forums, because it was really an opportunity to meet creative actors and for them to meet creative actors or a representative of the creative sectors in each country, which will build trust and enhance cooperation, future cooperation projects. At last, cooperation is the main idea we came out with after this workshop, and especially for the Western Balkan and South Mediterranean countries that have a lot of similarities. And I do believe that the Creative Europe program is one of the best catalysts for to emphasize or to enhance this cooperation between all the Creative Europe countries. Thank you.
Thanks to the 3 of you for really brilliant summaries. When one organizes regional platforms, regional forums, usually the host country kind of steps back and gives the floor to the region. But we wish to share with you one Slovenian good practice that we really find good practice. So we are happy to have among us Miha Kliner, who is the father of the Competence Center for Design Management. He will present to you the conclusions of the second phase, and then we are really interested in your feedbacks, and in your interest, we are ready to share more details with the countries present after the forum next year. Thank you.
Thank you. Hello to everybody. I'm very happy to be here to present you a case study that we just finished, the second project. I was called by Ministry of Foreign Affairs to give this to show this case study as maybe a possibility to go regional, as I understood. But let me start with one thought. I was not with this innovation forum yesterday, but I know a lot of people like Eva, Matjaž, Relja, Barbara that was present yesterday. So talking about innovation or innovation policies, also hearing our Ministry of Culture today early in the morning mentioning that innovation that he should mention that design is humanization of technologies. I think that when all friends of mine from creative fields talk about innovation, they have in mind people-centered innovation. So design makes projects change people's life. So I think without innovation policies that have no design inside, this is just a piece of paper, not making a real change. So yes, I will talk about design today. We make these two successful projects, why we start with these projects? We have clear guidelines. It's at 209 that creativity is an important part of our innovation policies, but at the same time, Slovenia had no innovation policy established yet. So among all many countries in Europe, we missed this part. We followed the, let's say, the policy, the innovation and design policies around the world. We find out that Kenya, Botswana, Poland, Brazil has a program, but we did not have one. So we are searching for any opportunities to gain some projects that will allow companies to get into, to connect with contemporary knowledge about design, design management, creativity, to bring this change. And also we followed that without this change, companies have difficulties to compete, especially in financial crises that hit Slovenia like any other European countries. At 2013, we finally get a project. It was a competence center, and with 19 partner companies, we successfully applied to this project, and we gained a little less than 500,000 euros per 2 years of education. In these 2 years, we did like over 4,000 educational programs for people. We have 750 almost people participating, from top management to middle management. And our program focused on 4 pillars of design. First one, it was, we tried to get a know-how of how to make our product, services, and communications more user-driven. The second focus was how to change the processes inside the organization from, let's say, linear to more creative. The third focus was on people's knowledge, how to introduce the design skills, design knowledge, how to make relationship more creative in companies, and finally, of course, the last part was focused on value for companies, so business value that design can bring to these companies. We have very different partners, from very big companies to small, like medium or micro companies. We established our competence model that was focused on, as I mentioned, top management, enabling them to understand design better and then to change the processes and projects in a company. We have a lot of support from international institutions that introduce design practices, and also we find that with these resources we organized 8 conferences on design management for the first time in Slovenia, for example, and a lot of foreign coaches that were, I would put very honestly, too pricey before. So joining those companies, we connect with coaches that have been experienced in companies like Lego, BMW, Bang & Olufsen, Marimekko, etc., etc. So the knowledge was really what we were looking for. After 2 years, when we measured the results, we find out that we have been really successful. And also, we gained the Design Value Award from Global Organization of Design Management Institute from Boston, which makes us easier to go and to enter the second project, which is just finished 14 days ago. In this second project, the Ministry of Commerce of Slovenia was financing this project with 900,000 euros. And the project was focused on more advanced design skills like design leadership, design research, and design innovation. Within these 39 companies, we explore methods of measuring success on design. We make a survey which was able to compare high-growing European companies with Slovene KCDM companies, and we find out a lot of gaps, and this is what makes our strategy of education more sharp and goal-focused. At the same time, I would say the biggest achievement was that we make a map of knowledge of all those 39 companies. In such a small space like Slovenia, those companies are not competing among each other. So our best practice was that companies share the different knowledge between each other. And as asking management, this was also for them one of the most valuable thing in this project. We are now in a phase of conclusion, and as a result, we will print a book in December with 7 case studies where companies will be presented in a way how many people, for how many hours, with how many resources, which functions did what, and also at the end the results that are tangible, like value created, increasing of sales, things like that. With these examples and good stories, case studies, for example, we have stories like company joining us as a micro company with 2 employees end up with 45 employees, and at the end, as a joining partner, in this case was Beneteau, as a larger producer of boats for free time in the world. He acquired this company. Or maybe the stories of big companies getting from 390 million euro profit per year to 445 this year. So doubling added value of employees, for example, or transforming from producer, integrating services and productions, and getting yearly income increase of 49%. So we have stories that prove that design is worth it, and I hope that this project will continue, and maybe even more. We are preparing to share this case study, maybe on region, or to help other states, policies, strategies to learn something from us. Thank you very much.
Does somebody have any questions for Mr. Klinar about what he has just presented? We have a couple of minutes, so feel free to ask anything you want. Anybody? Well, if not, we will come back to you after the forum. This was supposed to be a trigger. As Mr. Cleaner mentioned, the idea is that this good practice could go regional, and we will ask for your feedback afterwards. Thank you. So welcome to the coffee break, and just one administrative request. As you know, tomorrow we are taking you to Bled. Bled is actually where the idea of the Creative Forum was born 2 years ago, when our minister and the Secretary General of the Union for the Mediterranean met there and decided to create a regional platform that would help integrating integrating the region through creativity, something forward-looking, something innovative. But the interest in this tour is big. And even though we have a double-decker, the number of seats is limited. So we kindly ask you, both those that already registered and those who haven't but are interested, we ask you to go to the registration desk and confirm that you are coming tomorrow. Thank you. Enjoy the coffee break. join us.
To the stage. Can we please have the seats, please? We're going to start in a few seconds. Thank you very much. Hello and good afternoon. My name is Abdelhamid Al-Zuhairi. I'm the president of the Euro-Mediterranean University here in Slovenia. And I am delighted to have the pleasure to moderate this very important session, which is the leaders panel with the title, Fueling the Creative Economy. First, I'd like to call in to the panel here my distinguished panelists. So I'd like to call to the panel Mr. Alexander Bogdanovic, Minister of Culture of Montenegro. And I would also like to call Valdrin Luka, Minister of Economic Development of Kosovo. Please welcome His Excellency Mr. Khaled Al-Usaili, Minister of National Economy of Palestine. And Ms. Aida Ridanovic, from the Euro-Mediterranean Forum Director from the Anna Lindh Foundation. And Valbona Shujako, Deputy Minister of Culture of Albania. Sorry. So we kept the two ladies last. Thank you very much for being here, all of you. And I think this topic of today's panel is very important, how to fuel this creative economy. It was, I think, very well explained during our opening speeches today that we are living in very special times. Today we're witnessing in the region of the Euro-Mediterranean region at large, the southern Mediterranean, but also the Western Balkans, we're witnessing some very dynamic changes, political, social, and economic. There are a lot of times of, now is the time of uncertainty and instability. We've seen what happened in the southern Mediterranean and still happening in the MEDA region. Also, the Western Balkans are struggling. There are economic challenges. The region has been witnessing wars and chaos for quite some time. We've seen also, and we are witnessing, the effects of the Industrial Revolution 4.0 and the digital transformation. I think these are two big challenges. Are robots going to replace humans in the job market? These are questions that are being asked. A few weeks ago, I had the pleasure of also joining in the digital transformation conference organized by the Union for the Mediterranean in Estonia, and we discussed this challenge extensively. What's going to happen to the economy in the future? What's going to happen to the jobs? Are we going to lose jobs? What is the role of universities in this digital transformation? These are all challenges facing us. But as much as they are challenges, they are opportunities. Because the time of uncertainty, yes, it is a challenge. There is instability, there are wars, there is economic problems and miseries, and there is poverty, but we all know that adversity is the best driver for creativity. So how can we use this adversity to drive our creative economy? On the other hand, digital transformation will definitely change the way we do business. Robots are going to replace few number of human jobs, especially those jobs that are repetitive, those jobs that are dealing with data acquisition and processing, because this is the computer or the robot is best at. But the robot is not creative. The robot needs the human by its side to be effective. And this is another opportunity for the creative sector to use the technology and robotics to be more productive. So these are drivers for the creative economy. We all know that the region, the southern Mediterranean and the Western Balkan region, and here I'm referring to them as one region simply because they share a lot of factors, but overall they share the rich cultural heritage and creativity that we see in this region. People are very creative. People are creative simply because there was a lot of adversity in the past. They were not growing under very good, flexible conditions. They had to struggle, and the struggle here generated their creativity. How can we nurture this creativity into innovation and feed the economy? This is the question of today's panel, and we have chose for you an eminent group of leaders to tell us how can we nurture this creative potential in the southern Mediterranean or the Western Balkan and help it to achieve the goals of the economic growth, and let's say inclusive economic growth and prosperity. So we will start with a message from the Secretary General of the OECD, Mr. Angel Gurria, who wanted to be with us, but unfortunately the OECD has a very important event and he couldn't be here. We would like to start with his message.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am delighted to have the opportunity to address you at the start of the Ljubljana Creative Forum. Our cultural and creative industries play an increasingly important role in our economies, our societies, and our well-being. They contribute to job creation, economic growth, and more to intercultural understanding. The creative economy accounts for around 4% of employment in the European Union. Globally, cultural tourism represents 40% of world tourism, and it represents 10% of the world's GDP. Furthermore, we know that cultural institutions like museums can generate a wide range of benefits to both individuals and local communities. And art is particularly essential today in an era where technology is taking such a big part in our lives. In many places, creativity is a driving force for local economies, with creative skills on increasing demand across multiple sectors. What used to be a niche sector for experts is today relevant for health, education, innovation, you name it. Moreover, following the financial crisis, creative jobs have proven to be more resilient, less prone to be threatened by automation. Now, creativity is one of the best human assets. No machines can replace it without compromising its essence. However, creative industries also face considerable challenges. Workers are subject to more unpredictability and less job security. Creative SMEs, creative entrepreneurs, also face greater hurdles in accessing credit or startup support programs, as the concrete value of intangible work is often very difficult to demonstrate. To help tackle these challenges, the OECD is working to develop better policies and data to advise governments on what works. We recently joined forces with the International Council of Museums, the ICOM, to develop a guide for policymakers and museum managers on how to maximize the impact of culture on local development. And we're very proud of this cooperation, and we're very proud of this product. And we're also developing data on regional jobs, business dynamics in creative sectors, on the link between culture and well-being, and on government spending on culture. Last but not least, through the OECD's Future of Work, we're increasingly focusing on the importance of extending social protection to non-standard workers, and in particular, those in the gig economy, which includes workers in the cultural and creative industries. And we want to do more. Ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, a creative economy is the fuel of magnificence. Now, this is a quote from American writer Ralph Waldo Emerson. He wrote it in 1857. Now, let me add that this is today more true than ever. So let's keep building and treasuring our cultural capital to promote a more inclusive, more sustainable growth, and greater integration among our nations. So I wish you a thought-provoking and fruitful creative forum. Thank you.
Very effective words by Mr. Gurria. And now we are going to move to a second speech. We were also supposed to have here with us Commissioner Maria Gabriel. Unfortunately, she couldn't come. I think we all understand now that the Commission is passing through a period of transformation. She's Commissioner for the Digital Economy at the time being. She's going to take another portfolio starting from next month. But luckily, we have with us here Mr. Zoran Stančić, the head of the EU representation in Slovenia, who's going to read her speech. Mr. Stančić, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, honorable ministers, deputy minister, ladies and gentlemen. Let me once again pass sincere apologies of Commissioner Maria Gabriel because she could not be here with us today. She has sent to you all her best and kindest regards, and she has asked me to read out her message to you. Europe's culture and creative sectors are the greatest soft power of Europe. From Jaguar cars to Calatrava buildings, from the Paris and Milan Fashion Weeks to the Frankfurt Book Fair, from the Cannes Film Festival to Scandinavian design, from the Van Gogh Museum to Louvre, from David Guetta to Armani. The list could be literally endless. The cultural and creative sectors are also an important part of our economy, responsible for 4.2% of European Union employing nearly 7 million Europeans in 2.5 million companies. These industries are all a vital part of our heritage, of our culture, and also of our future. They employ, entertain, and inform us at home and abroad. They are key to what European Union leaders recently proclaimed as the soft power they wish to project to the wider world. Just one example. The Western Balkans film scene has been thriving in recent years, reaching audiences across the world and winning awards at major festivals. The EU, through Creative Europe, supports the film industry in the region. Over 30 new films from the Western Balkans have so far been developed with the support from the media program of European Union, including the North Macedonian film God Exists. Her name is Petunia, now a runner for the European Parliament Lux Prize. The culture and creative sectors also hold the power to reap the benefits of the digital revolution. We in the European Commission are therefore delighted to see that the Slovenian Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the Union of the Mediterranean are committed to address both the creative and cultural sectors and in the digital domain. Indeed, we believe that this is the right forum to provide an overall approach at regional level and to give coherence to individual initiatives. The European Commission presented the digital strategy for the Western Balkans last year. The agenda is a comprehensive and ambitious plan to improve people's daily lives. It aims at supporting the region to succeed their digital transformation. An important component of the agenda is the issue of reducing roaming tariffs. Partners in the region need to agree on how to reduce these tariffs within the region. There is already a number of regional roaming agreements, and the debate continues on how to extend its benefits to all citizens in the region. We are ready to discuss lowering roaming tariffs between the region and the European Union. We also see opportunities to cooperate on cybersecurity. Further cooperation would be possible through the implementation of the Directive on the Security of Network Information Systems, cooperation with the European Union Agency of Cybersecurity, as well as the network of centers of competencies. Another very important issue are digital skills. We need to foster them and to encourage more schools to take part in the EU Code Week. It is also crucial to support innovation and digital entrepreneurship. We need startups, entrepreneurs, and academia to network and to cooperate. The digital and creative innovation hubs would help to make better use of expertise, innovation, and research excellence. All this fits in the EU Digital Single Market strategy that opened up opportunities for people and businesses and enhanced Europe's position in the world in the digital domain. The Digital Single Market has put the EU in the forefront of the development of a rule-based global digital economy. It brings solutions to a number of key issues that the world is facing in the digital age, how to build common markets, avoid fragmentations, and digital trade barriers. The changes through the digital single market and digital agenda for the Western Balkans now offer the opportunity to put our relations on a new footing, focusing on areas that could have biggest impact on where the EU has relevant experience and demonstrated expertise. The main topics that come to my mind are digital connectivity, digital economy, digital entrepreneurship, and innovation. Let me conclude by acknowledging how important it is for you in this region to demonstrate that you are ready to commit to a better future. You have a great contribution to make. I firmly believe that enhanced cooperation on creativity and digital is an enabler to help to achieve common objectives. These were the words of Commissioner Gabriel, and as it has been said initially by the moderator, we are in the Commission in the transition stage, and hopefully, as of 1st of December this year, we will have a new Commission in the office. However, on my humble role as a civil servant working for the Commission, I'm in a position to underline, in addition to what has Commissioner Gabriel already stated, that the new Commission, you will understand that Commissioner Gabriel in her current position was not able to elaborate on the future. However, the new Commission will maintain its commitment to work very closely with the Southern Mediterranean and the Western Balkans in this domain. This has already been very clearly stated by the President-elect in her statement in front of the Parliament in summer this year, when she presented her political agenda. So, ladies and gentlemen, also in my position as of representation here in Slovenia, I wish you all the best in your work. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Mr. Stancic, and also we thank Commissioner Gabriel for her message. And I would like to underline from her message also this very important aspect of European diplomacy, which is the cultural, and I would like to add science diplomacy, as the soft power of Europe in the world. And we're very glad to hear from Mr. Stancic that the commitment to the region, to the Southern Mediterranean and Western Balkan region is continuing. And with the soft power of Europe, I think this is the only way that we can protect Europe's integrity and also the integrity of the Southern Mediterranean and Western Balkan. And I would like to quote here, before we move to our eminent speakers, the words of the Secretary General of the Union for the Mediterranean this morning when he said that the creative capital is the tool for, it's the building block, actually, as he said, for the region's integrity. And with the Commission, I think, can do a lot in also furthering this agenda of integration of the region. And again, I would like to underline, when I say the region here, it's the Southern Mediterranean and Western Balkan region, due to many reasons. I don't think I need to explain. They are here considered as one continuous region. Would like now to move to our eminent panelists, and I would like to start with Mr. Alexander Bogdanovic, the Minister of Culture of Montenegro, to give him the floor for his speech. Excellency.
Thank you very much. Hello? Yes. Thank you very much, dear ladies and gentlemen, Your Excellencies. It's been a great pleasure to be here today to speak on this very interesting topic, because we are fooling creative economies, having in mind that all of these countries are very much committed for the creative industries, relatively new sector in Montenegro, relatively new public policy. And we have started a few months ago working on these very interesting projects, having in mind that in Montenegro, 4.5% of total GDP are given in creative industries. We heard from the introductory notes that on the world basis, 10% are made on creative industries. And of course, cultural tourism is something that is very important, and the government of Montenegro and Ministry of Culture is giving great efforts to contribute to the different artists in Montenegro in order to boost their innovative and aesthetic energy in order to provide those projects that will contribute and generate economy in total. I think it's very important that we are paying attention to support those artists, that their works will be market-oriented on ICT technology, on product design and applied arts, and how we like to say, we want to contribute to one Montenegrin creative product. In that regard, we had to start from the very beginning. We had to start of making a certain infrastructure, and we decided together with the artists that are being supported for the years in Montenegro to make certain creative hubs as the places in which they will work, create, and provide their time in order to meet with the different cultures and to be more linked with the different institutions. Why I'm saying this? Because we are planning in Montenegro 4 creative hubs during the course of next year. 2 of them will be on the south, 1 in the central part, and 1 on the north of the state. Because we want to provide them space in which they will work, not only the people from Montenegro, the artists from Montenegro, but we want to invite all our partners, all countries, to come there and on a residential basis to be present in Montenegro and to promote their cultures so that our institutions will be more and more linked with the institutions of the other countries. As I said, until the end of the year, we will have 1 creative hub in Bar. It's on the coast, but these 3 others are planned for the course of the next year. We had 1 public call where we had very generous funding, let's say for more than 30 of those ideas applied, but we supported 11th. And this is the reason why we are saying that creative industries are very good generator of boosting economy, because on this way we are contributing to the new working places. We are contributing, as we heard, on this intercultural dialogue, and what is very important, we are supporting artists because they are very much linked with entrepreneurship. In our case of Montenegro, we have supported those ideas in different sectors. As I said, for this first public call, we supported ICT, we supported design, we supported applied art. And we already have good results, because for these 11 designers who have created the products in Montenegro, we received 11 entrepreneurs who produce those products in Montenegro, and we now have 11 businesses in the field of culture. So those are the cultural industries that are giving now results, and of course on these examples we can see some of them. I will mention just 2 of those products who have received the best awards. It's a Big C award in Slovenia last month. One is given for the wooden boats that are produced by, you can see on those slides, that are produced by young entrepreneurs from Boca Bay. One maritime family, they merged, let's say, the experience that they have for the years in the tradition of their families, and they are working on this product. They are about to finalize this product, and as I'm saying, boosting a very aesthetic and enthusiastic, let's say, approach to this part of creative industries in shipbuilding and also architecture together, because they are combining Mediterranean and Montenegrin crafts in this regard, and we are having one very recognized product not only in Montenegro, but I can say in a whole region in Southeastern Europe. The other product which is very visible on our market is the product of very incorporated, let's say, smart benches in Montenegro. That's not something what is new on the Montenegrin market, but it's relatively new in the combination with the operating systems in Montenegro, because Deutsche Telekom has supported this idea. They are already now doing the retail, and they are recognized not only in Montenegro, but also in the whole Europe, now recognized in most of those countries in which we are working very tightly. So it's very important that we are supporting these products, that we are giving additional, let's say, incentive, not only to those 11 products, but for the second call that we have announced. So second call is now taking place, and we will switch to the gaming and fashion design, but it's very important that until that period of time we will have a certain infrastructure. So maybe next time we can invite you to come and to be the part of the conference in one of our creative hubs, because Creative Montenegro is already giving results. That's umbrella according to the national strategy. And recently we had one very good creative forum in Montenegro that will become next year more international. We will invite all the countries from the region, but I think that we have sent very good messages that we need to develop creative industries. Creative industries are very important for development of our economy, and as we mentioned, cultural tourism is something what is very important. What we are also doing, we are making a very good link with cultural heritage in order that those fortifications, those cultural assets that are not used now, that are devastated, we are putting them in a function and giving different kind of purposes in order to make them let's say, more visible on the markets, and in those creative hubs to do different parts of those activities. I think that this is invitations for all the countries who are present on this panel, but not only on this panel, with all our partner countries to come to Montenegro on residential basis to be the part of those creative hubs. And I think that together we are stronger, and together we can develop more initiatives in the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Minister Bogdanovic. I think these creative hubs are a very good practice that we could learn from, and probably I'm sure that the audience would like to have more questions about this later on. Also the cultural tourism in Montenegro being a very small country, but I think with cultural tourism you are really multiplying the impact of culture and a creative sector in Montenegro. This is, I think, one of the areas that we also would like to learn more about. And now we move to Minister Valderin Luka, who's the Minister of Economic Development of Kosovo. Floor is yours, Excellency.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I would like to start, when I was looking at the meaning of the flag today, of my badge, it was, this symbol means for boats, I require a flag, pilot. And then we were checking together with Valbona, the Deputy Minister of Culture of Albania, and the meaning of her flag was that I have a pilot on board. So really I want to use this as a nice coincidence, which means that here we are to help each other, complement each other, and use each other to learn from the best, so that we can multiply those success stories. And being in Slovenia, in Ljubljana, I think is the best case for the whole region, because there is plenty of things to learn, and then of course there is plenty of things to copy. I mean, we don't have to reinvent the wheel. If this creative center here, creative hub, is successful, why not try and make another one in Pristina or in Podgorica or anywhere else? Dear ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues in the panel, dear creators, most importantly, thank you very much. It's an honor to be here and talk about this very important topic. Creative economy, I think, is playing an increasingly more important role nowadays, especially in the last decade or the last 10 years. With the introduction of social media, it made it much easier as well to see the creativity of crazy people that is out there around the world. Why I love the creative economy? It's for several reasons, especially in our region, especially in our part of the world, in Western Balkans. It increases competitiveness of the companies. I mean, having generic companies anymore is not very competitive because, let's say, a foreign investor comes to the country, can create a new business, takes your workers, and then it's easy, can run out of the business all small companies in the country. But being unique through creativity, being unique through different designers, different artists, and creating synergies between the sectors creates also more sustainable growth, economic growth, and it's there to stay for a longer time. What's important also that this is the sectors which include the youth. It's the biggest job generator for the young population, which is where the biggest unemployment is in place as well. So in Kosovo, we have 6% of the GDP is creative industries, which is quite impressive. Of course, the GDP is quite small, but still it gives us lots of space to grow. So another important factor about this is brain drain. We don't have this issue. The brain drain issue is quite a big challenge right now in Kosovo, but I guess in every other country as well, especially in industries which bigger developed world countries are required to have people. Just to give an example, only for the past 2 years, Germany has issued about 15,000 working visas to Kosovo citizens. That means getting your talent out of the country. And people go and work because they have better salary and better standards of living. But in these creative industries, these are all well-paid jobs, which means we don't see the problem of brain drain. People stay in the country, work in the country, get a better salary, and they serve for different companies, even abroad, or exporting products abroad. So this is the idea of interconnecting the creativity, the arts, and then also different sectors of economy increases the value, which by increasing the value of the products means it's export-oriented, most likely, because our markets are small. When it is export-oriented, it means it improves the trade balance, so economic figures improve, increases employment, and then in the end increases the GDP of the country. So it has only multiple positive effects, and you cannot even find one negative effect. And this has to do mainly with creating niche markets, because we saw the beautiful case of Miss Fame from the jewelry. She did a great job in creating the luxury brand and exporting internationally now with her jewels. I mean, those are the stories that inspire us, and these are the stories which we want to see more often in our region as well. Of course, there are challenges. Usually, companies that do these kind of things are SMEs, small and medium enterprises, which are at higher risk because they have not a proper mechanism for access to finance. They are less, their markets are more volatile, so they are not able financially to be sustainable in case of there is market crisis or in case of they want to expand fast in new markets. So this is the importance of access to finance to exactly these sectors should be taken more carefully. I mean, in Kosovo's case, the best job has been done by donors. I mean, individuals, the whole creative sectors in economy have been developed by individuals, by themselves, through their own initiatives, and then it has been supported a lot through donors, especially in the beginning. Now, of course, the government, seeing it as a good potential for the economy, for the GDP, is trying to do more mechanisms to support such initiatives. But again, in the beginning, it was all mostly donor-based as well. And another thing which is of highly of a challenge right now in Kosovo, for example, is linking education with the creative sectors and with other more simple sectors as well, so that we can work all this together to increase the value of production and then moving moving forward with increase of exports and all these things. The creative sectors, when you export successfully around the world, it has another indirect positive thing, which is country branding. It helps the country become a map of having nice, beautiful, well-designed products, which also increases this positive image for the whole country. What are we doing in Kosovo right now as a government? We have several initiatives at this moment. One very good project which we started this January is called Kosovo Digital Economy. Now the idea of Kosovo Digital Economy is to, first of all, expand the broadband, give access through fiber optics to every village in Kosovo with fiber optic, with high-speed internet. Kosovo right now is the most covered country in the region and one of the best in Europe with internet access. We have 93% of the territory covered with fiber optic cable. With this program, we want to go up to 97, 98% and being #1 in Europe. By this, the idea is that we provide villages with high-speed internet, and then the second part of the projects includes teleeducation, telemedicine, so basically helping them have access to education through online technologies. We saw also from Ms. Fahmy how important was her education in England, in UK. She spent a year in UK and she was able to come back and grow her business only after that. So the importance of education is critical, and that's why I think having a broader access to good education is very important to this. The second part, the component, which is one of the programs that I love the most, is that last year we initiated the program of creating creative hubs in high schools. Kosovo has 104 high schools. Last year we awarded 70 high schools, creative centers, basically all kind of crafting stuff, 3D printers and all kind of things, robots, so that the young people can get inspired at an earlier age so that they can become more creative in the future. Now we are piloting this year with 20 elementary schools as well, because we believe that the change in the mindset starts at a very early age. And this is a very insignificant investment when it comes to the potential impact that it can have in the future. So we are talking about an investment for each creative hub, an investment of about 30 to 50,000 euro, and you can do the math. So 100 hubs all around Kosovo. The challenge here has been so far how to train the teachers so that the teachers can do a good job in educating our younger generations, but of course that is being handled by the private sector, which is the best one in doing that successfully. The other thing is assisting SMEs and NGOs with access to finance. So besides some programs with grants, a very good thing, a well-received thing has been creating the Credit Guarantee Fund. So the idea is not only giving grants, because grants very often discriminate companies and it can favor one company while it can disfavor the other by not giving a grant. But giving them access to financing through loans, which otherwise they would not be able to get, has been one of the best policies, I think, in giving access to these SMEs who don't have enough collateral to get a loan from a bank itself. So this Credit Guarantee Fund steps in and guarantees the collateral under the name of these SMEs. This has improved quite a lot because now the portfolio of this Credit Guarantee Fund for SMEs only is about 20 million euro, which is quite big compared to the economy of the country. The other program which we have started again this year through IPA funds from European Commission, it's a program in export support. Basically, we give all companies, SMEs mainly, in innovation and in technology and creativity sectors, experts, international experts, not local ones, depending from the need of the company. So the company says, I need one expert in architecture with this kind of inspiration of some culture. Then this fund can pay the expert, bring him, train their workers, and then go back. So the idea is to help increase capacities within companies to have their own people in this idea. Also, we have seen a good cooperation and an increased interest from our diaspora. Now, Kosovo is 1.7, 1.8 million people, but we have another 1 million people living in Europe, mainly Germany and Switzerland, but all around Europe. Germany and Switzerland is about 800,000 people. Now these people, a big part of them went quite early on in 1980s and 1990. Now they have been integrated fully and quite well educated. So by their education, they are coming back, investing, doing all kinds of things that they are trying again to bring back to the European market. So the idea is to use the lower cost country for exporting to economies where the prices are higher. These are the things that we have been doing. Of course, there is much more to be done. As I said, most of the success stories we have in place are individual or company-based initiatives, but we have been trying to support. We had one company last year which I was happy to assist because I knew the owner. It's a furniture production company. They got an arrangement with a very famous, globally known architect, designer from Iran. They are doing furniture similar as Ms. Fahmy from the jewelry that she has the inspiration and cultural roots of Egypt. They are doing similar furniture with inspiration of cultures of Iran. Again, for the European Union market or for the European market. This is now in the phase of production and testing. It's going quite well what I got information, but I cannot wait to look forward because a simple table like this can cost maybe 50 euro, but when you have a design in it, it costs about triple or quadruple that amount. So it increases the value, which means increases the value of exports and lots of other things. So there is plenty to be done here. What I love about this is that the creative people, the best thing about them is that they are more liberal. You don't look at the aspect of our past history, of our problems in the regional aspects. We know that we had lots of problems. But here I feel so good that you don't even think about problems. And that's why creative people are the ones who should lead in the future. Politicians still deal with the problems with neighborhoods and stuff like this, which really is time-consuming. It doesn't help anyone. But being here, it's more inspiring than ever. I think we have here possibility and potential to increase regional cooperation because that's the aim for us to work all together in the future. Again, thank you to all these creative people that are present here. I mean, creative people are crazy people because crazy people are the people who think they can change the world and in the end they change the world. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I think the crazy people liked your comments at the end. Thank you very much, Minister Luca, and thank you also for highlighting the importance of education, which is very important. We saw it this morning when Azza Fahmy was telling her inspiring story about how she spent all her salary on the first book that led her to the road to where she is now, and of course her year in the UK. Also, it's very important, one interesting thing you've mentioned about the importance of capitalizing on the diaspora of your people in other countries and kind of reversing this brain drain to brain circulation. So we would like to talk about it in the, not in the negative connotation of brain drain, but rather how we can circulate these brains to benefit from them. We now move to Minister Khaled Al-Usayli, who is the Minister of the National Economy of Palestine, to also display some of the creative products from Palestine. And Minister Al-Usayli, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, allow me first to extend on behalf of the government of the State of Palestine our sincere thanks to the government of Slovenia and particularly His Excellency Foreign Minister Mr. Milo Cerar for inviting me to participate in this creative forum, Ljubljana. Our thanks goes as well to the co-organizers, the Union of the Mediterranean. Creativity in Palestine is considered as a tool and as a result of resilience. It is our way to challenge constraints, obstacles, discriminative policy imposed by the Israeli occupation to develop our economy. The creativity of the private sector has resulted in coming up with innovative ways to stay resilient, grow, and compete in the local, regional, and international markets. Innovation plays a very important role in the private sector in terms of competitiveness and is critical to the success of private businesses. Innovation and creativity help firms to find ways to cut costs, improve products, and open new markets. This has also been reflected on the public sector, where service delivery was optimized. I'm not claiming that the service delivery is at its best. However, our institution provides decent services to the public in order for the people and firms to stay resilient. This has resulted in a more collaborative efforts between the public and private entities, thereby creating better, effective public and private services and products. Collaborations helps to bring broader set of skills, talents, and more responsive work culture into public sector organizations. Along with the innovation, thinking, and creativity, it's also helped private companies to innovate more effectively and to achieve their concrete goals in a more efficient way. For example, collaboration in the industrial zones where the government provides incentives and developed infrastructure has led to encourage the private sector to innovate. And herein I will provide Palulia as a successful story example. The factory was a startup and the first to start at the Jericho Agro-Industry Park. Its first product, Palo leaf, was the first product that was manufactured at JEB. Only 2 years after that product was released, it won the most innovative products award for 2019 at the Malaysian International Halal Showcase. Palo leaf won itself such as a global prestige because it's quite simply the world's very first all-natural supplement for diabetes. This achievement that was made in such record time is due to the incredible, highly talented and specialized team of researchers, scientists, chemists, engineers, pharmacists, along with state-of-the-art laboratories, manufacturing lines, and have all the appetite for innovation that drive Palo leaf. This is an example of many industries that used to be traditional and became innovative through proven market presence, such as the stone industry. Creative industry preserve important aspects of Palestinian heritage and contribute to strengthening and stabilizing the Palestinian economy. The Palestinian cultural and creative industry has always had an important standing among the various domestic industry, in part due its role in the propagating the history and culture of Palestinian people. The Palestinian economy composes of more than 98% of the SMEs. Accordingly, the State of Palestine employed the concept of clusters, a proven methodology for the increased competitiveness of small and medium enterprises within a given value chain, which could present a tremendous opportunity for inclusive and sustainable industrial development and job creation in Palestine. It also contributes to inclusive growth of fostering entrepreneurial cooperation in cultural and creative industries. The main objectives of the cluster approach is to develop and present new collections, product development, increase sales in international markets and identification of new business opportunities in the contract sector, market diversification, increase cooperation between cluster members by leading a joint export activity, cluster development. The Bethlehem Treasures cluster and the furniture cluster in Nablus, footwear value chain in Hebron were selected as pilot initiative for the government approach, which will be extended to develop industrial cluster on the national level. Nablus Furniture Cluster, founded in 2015, it gathers over 25 companies with more than 200 active employees that are located in the furniture hub of Nablus. The industries include wooden furniture, upholstery, kitchen, contract sector, custom-made solution. The result achieved through this cluster, NFC company signed a business agreement targeting commercial and industrial cooperation with a leading furniture and decoration group in Amman. Business development of business opportunities and realization of business contract for the NFC and its members in local market. Bethlehem Treasurers Cluster, founded in 2015, the BTC gathers 30 producers, 75% crafts women, entrepreneurs, and handcraft decorations and souvenir that works and live in the area of Bethlehem. With approximately 1,000 workers, the cluster in Bethlehem is among the main employers in the region, and it's widely employing women, particularly in ceramics, pottery, jewelry, and embroidery. These industries include olive wood, mother of pearl, jewelry, ceramics, embroidery. Still much need to be done to develop the creative industry, which is an important component of the cultural and economic survival of the Palestinian people. The legislative reform is a must, and this is what we are currently doing. The companies law, the IPR law, and are under revising. Moreover, each ministry realized its role to encourage entrepreneurs and facilitate the procedures. Incentives were allocated to attract the younger generation and encourage them, especially in the IT sector. But the financial resources are a massive challenge for my government, especially within the latest Israeli violation regarding withholding the Palestinian tax revenue. But as I have mentioned, we are resilient and determined to enhance the performance of our economy. We believe that industry sustainability can only be achieved through a strong link and cooperation between local communities and the public and private sector. Also facilitating training and skill development, improving the quality to meet the international standards, participating at exhibition and marketing are vital components required for the success of culture and creative industry. We are currently working with UNIDO on Palestinian cluster and creative industry policy development focusing on building national human and institutional capacity through stakeholders, training, coaching, SMEs development, and upgrading policy advice, market access, linkage, and access to finance. Palestinian government continues its support to enhance the ecosystem and boost creativity and innovation. This requires collaboration and networking among countries of the region on both private and public partners. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Minister Khaled Al-Usaili. And actually, I would like to, there is one creative cultural product of Palestine that comes to my mind that has traveled worldwide. I don't know if anyone of the audience would guess what this is. It is exactly, it is the Palestinian scarf. I think a Palestinian scarf has traveled all over the world and has become a sign of resistance, actually. It is very much trendy to wear it, and there are other countries who are trying to reproduce different versions of this Palestinian scarf. I think this is a very good example of how a simple product can travel much more than its boundaries. Thank you very much, Minister Al-Usaili, and we move now from the national level to the international level with Ms. Aida Ridanovic, who is the Euro-Mediterranean Forum Director for the Anna Lindh Foundation. The floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for having me today. I enjoyed actually listening to your presentations, and as you said, I come from a little bit different world. I'm not a government, I'm not a decision maker, but actually I am your right hand, I'm your partner in decision making. So I will present Anna Lindh Foundation and our work, and then I'm going to put that in a context of what we are discussing here today, and why we are here, and actually why we have and why we need the forums such as Ljubljana Creative Forum. Anna Lindh Foundation was created 15 years ago, and it's a network of 42 member states. Each member state, we have what we call a head of network, or the national network coordinator. And I'm very actually pleased that actually I'm sitting amongst all of you whose actually national networks are very, very, very active. Slovenia is one of our very close partners, and Slovenia National Network of Anna Lindh Foundation is very active. It's contributing a lot in terms of capacity building, but then also in the programming area. Anna Lindh Foundation, the full name, Anna Lindh Foundation for Intercultural Dialogue, and this is exactly what we do. In today's world, the need for intercultural dialogue is needed more than ever. Last week was marked by the 30 years of the fall of the Berlin Wall, but then how many new walls have been built ever since? We all speak different languages, we all wear different clothes, but what is eye-opening for people like us when we meet is the first thing when we hear the song, we see the art piece, we see something and say like oh my God, this looks exactly the same like in my country. We have so many similarities, and this is what Anna Lindh Foundation for Intercultural Dialogue is actually doing through its 42 heavy member states, doing exactly that, actually focusing on our similarities, not differences. So what is a civil society? It occupies an important position in the development dialogue, as it provides opportunities to bring communities together for collective action and mobilizing society to articulate demands and voice concerns at local, national, regional, and international level. We mentioned education, technology, digitalization today a lot, and actually I'm very happy then to report that the Anna Lindh Foundation, especially the upcoming MED Forum, are on the right track, merging all of those. When we're talking about the civil society, it is evolving in terms of what it is and what it does in response to both technological developments and more nuanced changes within society. Speaking of the economy, again, I'm not the economist and we don't deal with those numbers, but there's an interesting data that this sector employs around 54 million full-time workers and has a global volunteer workforce of over 350 million. That's the power. And the motto of our upcoming MED Forum 2020 that is taking place in Šibenik from April 2nd through 5th next year, actually it is the power of community. So our work, as I said, across those 42 countries is an eye-opening for people who are joining our network for the first time. We work a lot with youth. We have our flagship program called Young Mediterranean Voices. And something remarkable happened in November last year. We were holding, actually it was the month of debates, national championships in 8 countries. And it was taking place in Palestine, Lebanon, Libya, Egypt, Tunisia, Algeria, Morocco. And as a result of discussion between those young people, policy recommendations were written and delivered to their governments, but also to the EU representatives in their countries. It was very, very powerful message from those young people, not from us, not from my generation, but from them. They took a stand, they participated. In Lebanon, when we went to Beirut, literally within 2 hours, a debate between young parliamentarians and young students took place, where basically they shared a stand for the motion and against the motion. For the motion, young parliamentarian and young activist. Against the motion, young parliamentarian and young activist. Finally, they started to learn how it looks like to work together. There's still some misunderstandings about the civil societies. Civil society is what I like to call an extended right hand. And let's say an expert, a know-how for a government. And civil society and governments can only work in partnerships. Civil society and governments are there to exchange opinions and actually to work, hand in hand. Speaking about the future and digitalization, we're talking a lot about stereotypes, and there is an important report that Anna Lindh Foundation is producing every 3 years, and this is actually the Intercultural Trends Report. The next one is coming up in early 2020. Right now, the research and the survey is in the making, and basically the survey covers 13,000 people from 13 countries. And it provides a wealth of information about how we perceive, how we see each other, how we feel about each other. And what was really amazing is how much the media plays the role in how we perceive each other, how much the media actually supports and keeps building those stereotypes. So part of our job also is working and educating media in how to do that. But speaking of stereotypes and speaking of technology and the future, what is the future of civil society in terms of technology and digitalization? You mentioned the 4th Industrial Revolution. And there's actually one interesting thing that Klaus Schwab, he wrote in The Future Role of Civil Society, that he said, a renewed focus on the essential contribution of civil society to a resilient global system alongside government and business has emerged. So finally, the civil society is recognized as the future partner equivalent to the task. But if we are talking technology, artificial intelligence, where is ethical robotics in all of this? We as humans are making those programs. Right now, as humans, we are building those stereotypes. Are we going to translate those stereotypes into the future technology and bring it into artificial intelligence? Or are we going to allow artificial intelligence to really create a new mind for all of us that will break down those stereotypes? I hope that I'm going to see a lot of you at the forum next year. I really see this forum as a catalyst, something that will give us opportunity to continue this discussion, to continue this really important task of communicating through the culture, of engaging us, you know, I really don't like this bottom-up, phrase, but unfortunately, this is how it is these days. We need to keep educating each other. We need to keep talking to each other. But also, we need to give ourselves a homework. When we meet, what's next? Let's not have just another gathering. Let's give ourselves a homework, and then let's meet again. When we meet for the next Creative Forum, what is that we are going to deliver? What is that we are going to collectively report on? After the Forum 2020, when we meet in 2024, what achievements are we going to measure? So what is our joint commitment that we are going to make that is going to enhance our dialogue, that's going to enhance our cultural understanding, that is going to enhance our cultural cooperation? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Ridanovic, for reminding us that culture recognizes no boundaries, and for the work of Anna Lindh as the main civil society organization in the Euro-Mediterranean region to bring people together to work in partnerships. And we had the pleasure and honor of working with Anna Lindh Foundation and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Slovenia at the Euro-Mediterranean University in organizing 2 conferences in 2016 and 2017 under the titles Translate for Dialogue, where we were working on how to enhance translation of the different languages and literature by different authors, particularly actually from the unusual direction from the south toward the north in 2016, and Educate for Dialogue, which is intercultural education for dialogue in 2017. Thank you very much. And now we come to, definitely last but not least, to Valbona Shujako. Am I pronouncing it right? Shujako? Who is the Deputy Minister of Culture in Albania.
Hello. I don't find it weird that you pronounce my name differently, because a lot of times people thought, especially in America, that I was Japanese, so it's okay. Yeah, Shujako. I'm very happy to be here. Greetings to everybody, my colleagues, but also friends that I meet again from the cultural world. Actually, in the last period, the government of Albania has been invested itself through the motto of cultural heritage as motto for development, which entails investments in the cultural heritage, maintaining, preserving, because of the mission of the cultural monuments, but also due to the fact that there is so much interest to see the cultural heritage in Albania, and there was such a big boom of all the tourism and tourists coming to Albania that we needed to act fast to be able to preserve our cultural heritage. The other element is that the government, with its strategic partners, has invested in historical centers such as Korça, Gjirokastra, Olta, Gjirokastra, and Vlora, and other small villages, creating spaces for little businesses to attract buyers for their cultural little souvenirs or other culinary products that they produce in their small businesses. It also passed the law for cultural museum, which is considered to be one of the most revolutionary laws in Albania in regards to cultural heritage, because it brings a new form, new model of administering the cultural heritage. In one sense, it can give administration rights to to the strategic partners to take care of and develop an archaeological park, but also the same what you're doing in Montenegro is creating, utilizing existing cultural monument objects into creating them into creative hubs or other means of usage. Beside that, we've been working on drafting the national strategy for culture, which has taken a while until it got to the final document, and I'm glad to say that we're almost to the finish line, for which we had to have a lot of meetings with a lot of different interest groups to see what is really needed in the sector and what do we really need to do as a government to support the different groups in the cultural sector. One of these groups was the creative industry groups, my friends and my colleagues a while ago, which we had a very fiery conversation about, oh, the government is not doing anything, we have to do this, we have the problem with the taxes, we pay this, we don't know how to solve this problem. And in the end, it was interesting because it came from them telling us that we actually don't know who we are. We don't know what creative industry in Albania is, and we don't know how big we are. So it came from them. They said, I think we should make a strategy first, strategy for how to develop the creative industry in Albania, but initially map it and then create it together. And this is exactly what is written in our strategic document. We have, beside the fact that we have identified all the needs that came out from all the meetings, the interest groups, but also talks with different experts, we have planned for training, which are especially trainings for soft skills, different qualifications for technical administrative skills, also incentives, not only financial, but also incentives in mean of in-kind incentives and other forms that are actually needed from the sector. Amendments to the law in arts and culture, it's what will be coming soon, which which brings forward the definition what is cultural heritage, but also incentives of what is really the government, what will the government be doing to incentivize this sector. The good news is that the creative people of Albania and the artists have not been waiting for the government to come and support them, and they've been doing their job and bringing their ideas to life. And one such, I'm going to mention some of the samples, and it's the case of Pezana, a furniture store, a furniture story, as she says it, a company led by a woman. I don't know if she's here now. She's there. And I met her in another conference for creative industry like 2 weeks ago, and I was impressed because beside the fact that she leads a company, creative industry, she uses recycled products to produce the furniture. She employs people with different disabilities and different abilities and helps them to support themselves and engage themselves in their life. Then is Belinda, a fashion designer from Tirana, who is found her inspiration from the traditional folk wear, and she has actually made this outfit that I'm wearing today based on the traditional coat that men wear, but made it into a woman, which I believe is very interesting to bring forth our cultural heritage without being pushy and creating problems between ourselves. Nog by Nora is another one-person company, a mother of two with a daily job at a bank, who had the passion to become a fashion designer, create, and then finally she found the niche of designing very unique scarves, which she sells abroad online, and very good quality. But she says, the way that she told me, she says, I work at the bank and I can do anything to help you as a government, not me, but the government, to figure out what are the ways to actually support the creative industry without restraining each other. There's a small company in Gjirokastër, in the old town, which employs, where the husband and wife have went to trainings in Greece and now produce jewelry from zero, and the earrings that I'm wearing are produced by them, and they have the entire family engaged in their business. The mother-in-law sells, and everybody comes to the store, and this is something that we would like to support in the future, and these are the models that we go and talk to in order to get the information that we need to build the policies that we have to have in the government of Albania. Lastly, but not least, it's the people like Sonila and Visi. I don't know if they are here or not, from the co-working space Destil in Tirana, who actually invest their time and their energy and their funds to create a space like this, where other people, other creative people can come together, meet, network, but also engage their skills or get better skills that they need to produce their creative skills, to produce their creative products. We, the government, will be meeting with the creative industry group. We will be taking into account everything that comes from them to us, because this is the way that it works. This is the easiest way for a policy to work. And there's a long road in front of us, but we strongly believe that we are in a successful way. One thing that I think is very important to stress in this case is what I was telling my colleague from Montenegro. Once I read in a book that geniuses, back in the day, geniuses was not considered people, but some energy that was there in the house that waited for a person to be in a certain state of mind for them to get inspired. So the genius had an idea which would come to a person when the person was in a right state of mind, and it was on the person to take this idea and to develop it, to make it real. So I think what meetings like this really do is bring all these geniuses that we have with us all along, bring together, energize us, and immediately we start meeting people and we start. I'm looking at Professor Milena. Yesterday we met at the airport, and for me it was a blessing, because in our strategy there's one point that everybody's looking for, asking us to do something that we cannot do as a ministry, create MA program for arts and management program. But as I saw her, I said, okay, she has the know-how, and these are the things that are requested in our country, so how can we collaborate so that we can make it? She has the know-how, and I have the means to go around and make it real. So I think that forums like this are really, really important for us to meet, to exchange the geniuses, but also, yes, very important to follow up and to put the goal of what are we going to report when we come back. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Shuyako and Shuyako. And when we asked the distinguished panelists to bring with them one creative product, we didn't expect that you will come wearing it. But I have to tell you, it's a very nice outfit. And thank you very much also, and the jewelry and the earrings. And I would like to also thank you for displaying a different kind of product, which is it is as important, if not more, which is the legislations. The the law for cultural museums, and the national strategy for culture, and also the process of developing the strategy with this creative industry group. I think these are also very good examples of we cannot create products in void, so we have to provide the conducive environment, an enabling environment, by providing the right legislations and laws for it. I don't know if I have 10 minutes or not. I do have 10 minutes? Can we have 10 minutes? Or? Yeah. The boss said yes. So, So because really we had some very interesting presentations, and I would not like to miss the opportunity also of having some engagement from the audience on these presentations. So I will ask you, we don't have a lot of time. We have more or less 10 minutes because Minister Bogdanovic has to actually very quickly hit the road, and he has a long drive in front of him and another obligation in Belgrade. So we understand that. And also you have to have only 50 minutes for lunch. So if there are any questions, quickly please introduce yourself and your question. And then we will have a very quick round, hopefully, to answer them. So, okay, do we have someone? Yes, please.
Hi, my name is Marlon Bacali. I work for UNIDO. I had a question for the panelists since they are at ministerial level. Some of you talked about creative economy, especially the minister from Kosovo. Mr. Bogdanovic talked more about creative industries. The other panelists talked about creative industries. These are two separate concepts. So my question is, which type of policy are you pursuing to develop further creativity in your countries? And what type of indicators, or how do you think those indicators would apply to either a creative economy or a creative industry, knowing that the definitions are quite broad and there is not a clear consensus even in those countries that have clear policies in creative economies or creative industries? Thank you.
Thank you. Another question? Yes, could you raise your hand? Okay. Please, over there, Dunia.
Dear guests, thank you very much for your presentations. I think all of them, they were very impressive. You're doing a great job in your countries. But yesterday, with creative entrepreneurs, we have discussed regional cooperation and regional integration. And my question goes in the direction of regional integration. Are you open for it? And how would you support it? Thank you.
Okay, and another one here in front.
Thank you. I'll be quick because, yes, we are standing between you and lunch, so that's always dangerous. I'm Dragan Barbutovski. I'm country director for British Council here in Slovenia. So, yes, thanks for your presentation. It was very impressive. But since we are in a policy forum, I just have one appeal, one recommendation. Ms. Rijanovic talked a lot about the impact. We can talk about economic impact as well, but also we should talk about social impact of communities, and the creative economy, creative industry is the one that's probably the best place to face the challenges, dealing with, for example, vulnerable groups. So my appeal is that when you are designing new instruments, they have to be adapted to the creative industry, to the creative and cultural sector, because it is a little bit special, so it needs a special attention, because at the end of the day, they're the best place to deal with some of the social issues that we also deal, and then, as a society, we all can actually gain if we just give them a little bit special attention and we adapt instruments and other measures that are very much focused on them. Thank you.
We can take one last one. Okay. Okay. Here.
Hello, thank you for the presentations. I wanted to ask my deputy minister. I'm from Albania, and I want to make a direct questions. We have a protest for 2 years going on for national theater, and what is your feeling and what is your response that our national theater is protected, is one of 14 sites that is protected from Europa Nostra, and the Minister of Culture doesn't do anything, even though it was a cultural monument before and now it's nothing.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, the real last one. There, could you raise your hand so that they can see you with the mic? Another.
Me
okay.
or no, it's
okay,
fine.
Quickly,
okay.
Please. Quickly.
I was mentioned from our deputy minister. Thank you very much for mentioning me.
When we met together the first time, I told you that it's a little bit dangerous to work with creative entrepreneurs. So you mentioned several issues that, as far as I know, we are 6 people from Albania, and none of us has been in the tables that you have organized when it comes to creative industry, but you mentioned most of us. So I think this is not fair. I am still saying that I appreciate the fact that you mentioned me, but I don't appreciate it in the other direction. The fact that you mention us as good examples everywhere, but meanwhile you don't take us as people who can give and say what is happening in our country. In fact, from this debate, I really feel a little bit shocked because I can see the progress of other countries and I know the power of creative people in Albania. It's not true that we don't know what we need. We know it, and we know it quite well, but nobody's asking about our opinion. Even when we give our opinion, nobody takes it. And this, when it comes for social enterprises, that is my field, nobody asked me. I have talked to the ministry and everyone.
I have to cut you here in the interest of time.
I think this is very important.
Excuse me, may you just hear me?
Yes,
in the interest of time,
yes.
And since we have 5 eminent speakers here, you can maybe discuss this with the Deputy Minister later on.
But what is important here is to be honest.
Very
and
good.
I can feel that there is
I gave you time to make your point. I didn't cut you from the beginning, right?
Okay, thank you.
So you have also to agree on this. And the last question here, I hope it's not about Albania, is it? Okay.
Sorry?
You are only 6, but you are quite dominant.
Okay. The question again about Albania. No, kidding. It's Tunisia. So I appreciate your also your initiative. I would like just to mention that the instrument to finance the creative industry that you are deploying sometimes doesn't match with the current need in the southern part. Because when we say creative industry, it's not just spontaneous art of work, but it should cover the training part, the creation, the production, and the diffusion. And in our country, we have huge lack of those equipment and space, dedicated space to make creative project. But the instrument that's financing the project don't accept to cover what is missing in our countries. So if you can take this in consideration, that can make big change.
Thank you very much for all your questions. And now we will give the floor to our eminent speakers to wrap up or conclude. And I would like to suggest, if I may, I never do this with such a high-profile panel, but since you made it feel very easily and you're all very modest, and we have a lot of crazy people also on the floor, as said before, we would like to wrap up with 5 words, not more. It is difficult. It's a challenge because there were questions. I'm sure we will start with you, by the way. And since there were questions, but maybe we choose a question which we would like to answer, but try to make it in 5 words because we have to go to lunch.
Okay. So I believe that the presentation that I had was quite honest to say that the creative industry in Albania needs to be built at the government level, and that the companies working did not wait for us to develop. They've been developing ideas, they were doing their own thing, and now we have to meet and see what more can we do to develop it. The meetings, sorry, this is more than 5 words. The meetings to build the strategy has started last year, and they are ongoing. The draft document will be online, or is online, should be online now, and you can read it. And if you have comments, any comments, you can send it back. But so far, from the public hearings that we have had, and the meeting that we had with the donors yesterday, with the ambassadors yesterday, said that it's well-written, well-thought-of document, presentation of a document, and of course we will take in account everything that is suggested. It's mainly we want to go in the same way. We are not against each other. We want to develop the same creative industry. So let's work together and not fight.
Thank you.
Please.
Yeah. So, as I said, the motto of Euromed Forum 2020 is the power of community. So now just imagine the power of exchange via platform that unites 42 countries.
Thank you. Mr. Osai.
The 5 minutes is over, the 10 minutes is over. Anyway, creativity in Palestine is the result of the suffering from occupation. I wish we will have the freedom and to get rid of the occupation, and I think we can do a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you. Creative industries, of course, pertain or related to sector level, but the creative economy in a broader aspects is a result also of the creative industries and sectors that come to it. In terms of regional integration, I mentioned it, that it's very, very important in order for all of us to benefit from creative economies and industries. Just to mention in a few seconds, we are in a process together with GIZ, who is also supporting this event, to create a regional innovation and training park. This is a very big park which used to be a military base. Now it's transformed to an innovation hub, where the idea is to bring all innovators from the whole region. I've invited the presidents of chambers of commerce of every country in Western Balkans. They were there present, and they loved the idea of working together as a region to create one innovation hub, which is located in Prizren in Kosovo, which is a cultural, historic city as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very shortly, but I think I was creative today by saving your time, because I thought it's limited up to 5 minutes. So I would speak much more, but just very briefly, I think that we are doing a good thing to map and help all these authors, all these subjects, the way they perceive the art market, how they should change this area of establishment of their workspace. And in that kind, we are providing this through the creative hubs. What we need strongly, we need international dimension. And I think that all these countries needs to be more tightly linked through different fundings, through the fundings within the culture. Europe for Citizens, Creative Europe are giving our possibilities to get in common more tightly and to support these projects and to broach some new initiatives. I think that as a main generator to the economy, we can do a lot through the creative industries and creative economies, of course, and with concrete results. I will just mention one, sorry, because I mentioned 2 products, I will mention one more. Having in mind that Montenegro is a very attractive touristic destination, we are also becoming a film destination by one product from the creative industries. It's VR technology through the locations countings, where we made very attractive locations and presenting them outside Montenegro, where all those producers and co-producers are coming, and by these very beautiful spots, they are urging to make movies in Montenegro and to develop cinematography sector. I think we can do a lot of more with additional initiatives. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. At the end of the session, I would like to thank the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Slovenia and the Union for the Mediterranean, the GIZ, for supporting and organizing this event. I would also like to thank the Polygon for hosting us. I think it's quite an inspiring space here. Thank all of all the audience and the young and creative artists around us, and of course thank our eminent speakers and panelists very much. Minister Bogdanovic, Minister Luka, Minister Rosaili, Ms. Ridanovic, and Ms. Shuyako. Thanks, and I wish you all an inspiring continuation of this very nice session. Thank you.
Thanks to the panelists, ministers. Since we are just before the lunch break, we have a thematic present for you. It's a present that links design, gastronomy, sustainability, and by the way, in the year 21, Slovenia will be the European gastronomic region. So this is a kind of preview. Thank you.